Welcome back to Corporate Cross-Cultural Communications. As you can see with my screen, we have a lot of interesting details here. Hopefully you can see this. Yes, this is inside our class Facebook group, Corporate Cross-Cultural Communications. Again, Facebook groups, just cult. Welcome to my cult. Soo-hyun, thank you for posting something recently. I didn't have a chance to see it, but it looks like your research paper. I see it's been seen by 2 people. I'm wondering why the other people didn't comment. Please don't just be the follower. Practice communicating, practice making mistakes in class so that you're going to be much better and a leader out in the real world. Has anybody read this post that I put in our Facebook group yet? Oh, I heard somebody talking, but if I get to 5 seconds, I'm allowed to attack Ms. Ha and Ms. Han. It's your job to make sure people are talking quickly and proactively, remember?
Oh, actually, I haven't seen these things in Facebook page, but I heard about this issue before.
Okay, tell us about it. What did you hear?
I think the American who were traveling in the Thai, and they stayed at some hotels, but that hotel was not much good, so they counted very low score in some apps like TripAdvisor, and the hotel saw these comments and they called the police, and the police put the Americans into the jail.
Yes. So in some countries of the world, if you say something to make somebody look bad or harm their image, for example, if you put a TripAdvisor post up saying this hotel is terrible or some other hotel is much better than this hotel, in some countries, such as Korea, that is illegal. And I understand this report says in Thailand, you could go to jail for 15 years. In Korea, the law is you could go to jail for 7 years, even if it's true. So those are some of the only times where you really have to be careful of what you say. You don't want to make somebody look bad with corporate cross-cultural communications. But in my class, in our class, you don't want to waste time. You guys are all getting older. Time is flying. Please take advantage of the opportunity. Talk as much as you can. Show you are a specialist. We've been together for many weeks now. And every week we have been talking about you guys becoming an expert. You know what's good quality, what's bad quality. You know what's reliable and what's not usually reliable. Please don't sit idly. Please talk as much as you can to get practice in class before you're in the real world, because you need to be a specialist as soon as possible. The idea of just waiting until you graduate and waiting until you get a job, those are days that are getting much, much harder. Life is a game. Learn to play the game. And by playing the game, the more moves you make, the more tries you make, the more successful you will be, especially if you learn from others. So try. Whatever you're going to do, try. And I heard, so some people said you're going to present, but everybody in class should realize you do get points for participating. So one more time, who else is interested in presenting something today? Does anybody know about the Writing Correction Guidance Program at Kim Young University? Hey, Sohan. Yes. Great. Tell me, what is this?
This helps you about improving your writing through your corrections. Actually, I applied it, but I did not got any a program yet. It says it will start next week to me. So I did not get receive any help yet. Yeah.
I will. Really sure. Do you want? I can put in a complaint for you and say that things are going slow for students.
No, I'm in a particular group, in a group thing, the Gazette. So it's moving in a group. So that's why we're being kind of delayed.
Okay. at least you're trying. So anybody, everybody in class, you know that you have to be a specialist in this class. You have to at least pretend to be a specialist. If you don't have the confidence and if you think you don't have the experience, pretend. There is research showing that you can use your body language and you put your hands out wide and your arms out, your legs out wide, and you will get more confidence. And so if you just pretend to be a specialist, you will start being a specialist. And everybody in class knows any Scopus journal article is highly reliable and it's trusted. It should be very, very accurate. It should be teaching the world something new. So if you just take any of those Scopus journals and you teach one of those quotes or the charts to somebody else, that will make you look good. So at least you can do some of those things. There's a bunch of other things that we've posted in the group. I would like you guys to not just post things here, but share things in the class. So with that said, which is the student that is most interested in starting the presentations now?
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Chi-Lin and Xiong, and today we would like to give you an update on our research progress, especially focusing on the methodology section of our research. So the title of our research is Theoretical Approach in Analyzing Motivational Factors for Employees, focusing on HRM of Samsung Electronics. We decided to present the methodology because we already presented our main sources for our background literature on Wednesday through our weekly presentation. And I believe we are the only group that is presenting about the methodology part. So before we let you know about our methods, we would like to give you a general information about this section, since all of us have to include the methodology in our final paper. So methodology is a section of the research that describes the broad philosophical underpinning to your chosen research methods, which is explaining what you did and how you did it, allowing readers to evaluate the reliability and validity of your research. To be specific, the methodology includes the type of research you did, how you collected and or selected your data, how you analyzed your data, any tools or materials you used in the research, and your rationale for choosing these methods. Now we would like to share our methodology. So our methodology consists of 3 big parts, which are research design, data gathering, and data analysis. To start with, in the research design part, we will explain the overall strategy that will be utilized to carry out our research. In the data gathering part, we're going to be more specific with the research strategies with 3 subsections, which are stating status quo of Samsung Electronics HRM system through the existing literature, having interview with Mr. Bonina, who is one of our visiting professors and one of the executives of Samsung Electronics, and conducting case study of other corporations. And lastly, we will end this part of the paper with data analysis, where we analyze the data that we have gathered. So in today's presentation, we will share the first and second part of data gathering, which are status quo of Samsung Electronics HRM system and interview questions that we have come up with. So Samsung Electronics began to develop its HRM system in 1969, and several adjustments have been made in HR policies and practices to benefit both the company and employees throughout the years. A strict hierarchical structure existed despite the adjustments made for the employees. Several examples of this included order of rank, addressing colleagues with formal designations, sequential reporting by position level, frequent overtime work, and strict dress code, which all emphasizes traditional hierarchy of society in Korea. Now Xiang will continue on with further development of Samsung Electronics HRM in recent years.
So since 2016, there have been radical adjustments in HR policies and practices in order to follow the global trend. The new Samsung system has 3 purposes. First, promoting voluntary work. Second, improving productivity. And third, establishing horizontal organizational culture. And these 5 points are differences to the past system. And first one is to change the job hierarchy structure to a career level system. And second, to pursue call colleagues by name or English name rather than using formal designation. And third, to launch the Work Efficient Up campaign to minimize the number of meetings and simplify the hierarchical reporting system. And fourth, to eradicate overtime work culture and to provide enough vacations. And lastly, to remove strict regulation on dress code. And more than this, according to Samsung's 2020 SDR report, Samsung provides various career development system, diversity and inclusion programs, several training programs, and health and safety management for employees. Since these changes are currently created and implemented, many experts assume that it would be hard to change existing practices in Samsung immediately. So we are planning to conduct interview with one of Samsung executives, Bonnie Nam, and case study to know how global companies successfully handle HR part. So the first draft of interview questions is like this on the left side. So as you can see, questions are mostly related to our research. These questions are detailed and might be beneficial to our research project, but maybe Mr. Bonnie Nam might have difficulty in answering this question and have few benefits because he is now working with international teams and have interested in customer sales and global compensation. So considering his interest in our research project, we modified interview questions like the picture on the right side. So the modified questions include not only our research project things and also related to his experiences in Apple. So these are materials that we used. And we would appreciate it if you give us any feedback or comments. Thank you.
Great. I would like to hear from the class for some comments.
So maybe in case you want to see these questions, these revised questions, I'll put it up here.
Okay, great. And you will also, let me help by sharing something for a second. So everybody in class knows this is the, what's going on here? Strange. Let me try to quiet this, sorry. Oops. There we go. So everybody knows all normal term papers should be following this format. And so what we were just talking about is your methods section. So let's go through and can somebody volunteer to read this methods section? What is the problem? Anybody help volunteer to read this?
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Methods. This paper reviews the literature and uses qualitative participant observer, case study, and interviewing research methodology with interpretive philosophies. Then state who are typically people you interviewed, why you interviewed these people, and how exactly you interviewed these people. What were examples of questions you asked in interviews? What exactly were replies? And then later in the results or discussion section, state what you feel the surveys meant. Basically, what is and how did you try to solve the problem?
Right. So you see that I have typing mistakes there too. So everybody can improve. But does anybody know what that means? Sharon Lee, you just finished presenting as an expert in methodology. Do you know what this means?
So,
Qualitative research, do you know what that is?
mhm. So there in the research types, there are qualitative and quantitative, and qualitative methods are usually regarding non-numerical data, such as like interview and maybe case studies. And on the other hand, quantitative methods are usually regarding the numerical data, where you are actually doing things with numbers.
Good. Can anybody guess now the harder parts? What does a participant observer mean? Can somebody guess? Somebody talk to me about pink elephants. Practice your communication without fear of making mistake. Eugenio, make up an answer.
I cannot sure, but is it about peer review?
Yeah, good guess. Very good guess. I wanted something more creative about hippopotamuses or elephants, but I guess that works. What about case study? How about Hongmin? Your turn to guess. Make up a crazy answer. What is a case study?
Case study is some success or fail case from the other companies that we can get from the internet or other journals.
Okay, good. Can somebody else ask another question about this? There's quite a bit of writing in here. Is there anything else that's a little bit confusing before we go to the next page? Because the next page will answer more. Any questions about your research methods? Generally, just say what you're trying to do exactly. If you're trying to figure out how to manage cross-cultural communications and you're surveying people, you have to write down who you're surveying, why you picked them to survey, how did you survey them, what did you say with your questions, and what did they answer. All of that stuff you should discuss, and it's best if you include that in an appendix. So if we go to the next page, the definition of, the types of qualitative research are identified here. There's action research, case study, ethnography, ethnomethodology. There's many different types. And so what we just heard was a case study invented by these people. They study something that is in the real world. So it could be a company, it could be a good story, a bad story about a company, it could be a person, it could be a mountain, it could be a flooding ocean, whatever. You're just studying something in real world, not just through books. And then the next main thing that we talk about is participant observer study. That conducts field research, which means you go out and check details based on you, the researcher. You are located also next to it, so you go watch it. You observe things in the real world. Next to that, you can also say you're doing maybe an ethnography or an ethnomethodology. And so that ethnography is a field study. Again, field trip just means going out to check. And it's long enough so that you see what's normal and not normal. If you just see a case and you're only there for a short time, maybe you see the best case situation and you don't know the true story. That is usually the case with a lot of newspaper stories. They're telling you something that's really interesting, but you don't know the whole story. So journal articles tell you the whole story, the background literature, the future consequences, and the details of it. So ethnography is you're doing a case study long enough to know if it's normal, if it's a good day or bad day, something like that. Ethnomethodology seeks to understand how people learn and know the social rituals or the manners and the symbols of everyday life and culture. So since we're studying cross-cultural communications, if you're studying just the language of how people communicate, you could easily say your research paper is an ethnomethodology. So there's a lot of things here. If you want to talk about feminine research or grounded theory, life, history, there's many types. Using these keywords in your abstract would be good. And you definitely need to use something like these, some of these keywords in your methods section. If you don't understand, ask me questions, whatever. My job is to help you be successful. So as long as you're using these words, you will appear more successful. You will appear to be a genius. This is what the best of the best usually use. So we have that as feedback for Icharin. You were presenting your stuff. Did you talk about any of these words in your research? Which one are you going to pick?
So in our research, we are going to use case study, and also we're going to use interview.
Good. Yes. And because you are sort of participant observer, you have seen Samsung before, right? You have seen Alonso in our videos. You could also say you're a participant observer, if you wish. So at least you understand those. That's a good way to start. Can I get somebody else in the class to tell me what type of research you are going to use? Anybody else in class, what are you going to use?
I think our group will use the case study.
Okay, can you explain why? What is your case?
Because we're trying to looking for the like the failure cases that when companies are using only the incentive rewards rather than focusing on non financial rewards. So we're looking for the actual cases, and there are some like data that analyzes the effects of the non-financial case reward. So we're going to also quote the other research results, which was done by other researchers or other experts. So so that's the materials that we're going to use for case study.
Okay, good. Case study is very, very popular. A lot of people talk about it. A lot of researchers know about case studies. So if you only list case study, some people say that there are specific ways to do a case study. And so you might want to check what it is. It's easier to say you're following the case study method of Mr. Jones 2019. Then they can't argue with you as much. Does that make sense? If you say things that people don't understand, then it will reduce the number of arguments. For example, if you say grounded theory or ethnomethodology, a lot of people don't know what those are, so they may not argue with you as much. But if you just say case study, a lot of people know what a case study is. So I'm just giving you tips to help protect yourself. Okay, who else? What is another group? What about Ms. Hong in Vietnam? What is your research method? What is your research methodology? Quantitative or qualitative research? Go ahead, Ms. Hong.
Yes, I think I'm working on like focus on case studies too.
Okay, but as we just said, some people may pick on you. They may ask difficult questions if you only say case study. So it's better to say case study replicating this other article. That's one of the reasons why I told everybody, try to replicate an existing paper. So whoever wrote that paper, Mr. Jones or Mr. Smith in 2019, you say that we are copying the case study style of Mr. Jones 2019. That should be more acceptable. Tell me about your case. What company are you studying, Ms. Hong?
I'm working on tourism field, so I choose Silla Hotel, and I'm working on it.
Okay, we have had several people talking for, wow, 30 minutes already about just research methods. Let's jump into the idea of what are you going to teach the world now? Icharin, can you back up and maybe get your partner to tell the class, what are you teaching the world? I will be very happy if you feel you are a specialist in one specific area. So what are you teaching me? What are you teaching the class? What are you teaching the world?
So as I have mentioned before, we are trying to explain the motivation of employees through theoretical approaches. So maybe we can teach.
Just That's not answering my question. That's nice, but you're saying what you're going to do. I'm trying to make you really develop. So can you just jump in and guess? Even if you don't know what you're teaching, just tell us, what are you teaching? Teach me something right now in the next like 10 seconds.
So I don't think I fully get your question.
You started, the question for everyone in class is, what are you teaching the world? What are you teaching me? And the answer cannot be, I'm going to study something. That's not teaching me something. I want to know what you found out already. What is new that you have learned that you want to share with the world? Teach me what you found in your research. 1 point. Everyone in class. Let's get ready to go through, and I'm going to ask everybody in class 10 seconds, no more. Teach the class something new.
May I answer?
Sure. Ms. Ha, you can go first.
So through our research, we mentioned about the HR policies and practices of Samsung. And so far they have a series of changes in the system, but actually the system was quite hierarchical. So since 2016, they try to bring some more radical adjustments, but many experts assume that the change might not become immediately because there have been existing practices in Samsung. Yeah, that's what we found through our method part.
Hong Min, did you understand what she is teaching you? Can you repeat what she said, what she's teaching?
I only understood the methods she talked, so.
Okay. What about Hey Sohan? Can you comment?
Maybe I don't have any comment actually, specifically.
Can you repeat what they are teaching the world? I'm trying to show each of you that when you're saying things, it's clearly in your mind what you're trying to say, but when you're trying to be a specialist speaking at a high level, many times the other people, your audience, will not understand you. So it helps to say something with simple words and then try to say it again with different words to make sure they understand, except for when I'm talking about participant, observer, things like that. That's just the formula for research. So one more time. Xiang Ha, can you repeat what you're trying to teach the class?
So there have been many changes within the Samsung HRM, but actually before 2016, actually the structure of Samsung was quite hierarchical compared to the global company. So they tried to change more after 2016. But many experts think that it would be hard to change the system immediately because of long history of already existing practices. So yeah, that's why I want to say.
So you're saying you didn't find anything because they tried to change, but they couldn't change?
So what we found is the past structure of Samsung.
Mm-hmm.
And we think still Samsung has quite hierarchical and strict organizational culture.
Great. Okay, so that should be clear. I understand now. You have researched Samsung. You heard, you know that Samsung has been trying to change, but they're still following the same strict hierarchical management style. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in your paper, it may be good to try to show some other comparison to somebody that might be similar. Regardless of whatever you have written so far, how can you recover for that? Do you want to say that Samsung tried but failed, period? Or do you want to try to change your story and help Samsung learn something? Or make Samsung look good?
Maybe we are planning to do a case study, maybe, for example, Apple or Google. So considering the practices in that kind of global company, maybe Samsung can supplement the structure, the limitation of.
You're going to find some of the benchmarking practices, show things that you think might help with the Korean people in Samsung here. That would be awesome. And of course, Bonnie and Alonzo and Linda should, and if you're aware, we have some people that have found out the people managing all of those details. Who is it here? Lee Soo-hyun. I believe you were one of the students that actually found the contacts for June Kim, right?
Yes.
Okay. You're aware that she wants to work with us. She is ready to work with us, but she's actually in Silicon Valley. I believe she's living, her phone number is registered in California. So she is the opposite time zone. Like we are in the afternoon, she's in the middle of the night right now. So we may need to set up some special time that is easier to talk. But when you talk to her, if you hear that these people have researched Samsung and they basically, let me check. Can you guys help me check through who are the participants today to find out, is June Kim, is she in our group right now? Because if she is, we need to be very respectful. Hopefully, we can find a way to give some suggestions to them, right? We don't want to just say that, oh, I see that you've tried, but you failed, Ms. Kim, right? So finding information about Apple, Bonnie can definitely help with that. Finding information about Amazon, I believe Alonzo worked with Amazon. They can help with that. But Amazon and Apple, they have never been very strict and conservative. They're not a Korean style of management. They've always been very flexible and open in some ways. So when you use some benchmark for a comparison, you might want to try looking at maybe a Japanese company or some company that comes from a similar way. Like what? Can you guys think of any companies in Asia that have an Asian conservative cultural environment, but it's working in a new, maybe open manner? Can anybody guess some companies that we might want to check? Seriously, can anybody hear me?
Can you give me a question again?
Okay, the question is, we all know Samsung, and we have people that have researched Samsung, and they've researched shows that Samsung is a very old company. It's been around for a long time. They have an old-fashioned style of management style developed many years ago, and they tried to get a modern style of management, but they're still following the traditional style so far. So they're trying to change, but they haven't been able to change. And so I'm asking you, because we're in Asia, it's hard to have a different style. Samsung is trying to have a different style. So what is an example of a company in Asia that has a modern style of management?
So I can answer the companies that conduct the modern style company.
Such as what? Do you know the name of any companies?
I think Hyundai.
Maybe. Good. Any other guesses? Sungjuli, you have a
Yes.
big smile. Which
LG
company?
maybe?
LG, maybe. What about outside of Korea? Japan is also very traditional. China was very traditional, but do you know any modern companies in China or modern companies, modern management style companies in Japan? What about Alibaba? Are you guys aware of Alibaba? It's a Chinese company, Jack Ma. So that obviously is very, very modern style. It's so modern that the Chinese government doesn't really accept it. You might want to start checking into that. And maybe you can suggest some things that Alibaba have done because it's obviously worked. They're very successful. And maybe whether or not it works, you may be able to, Samsung may be able to consider it. Does that make sense? Icharin? Xiangha? Okay. So when you walk up to somebody, you should always remember to say something good. Again, back to that Facebook post. If you just say something bad, like Samsung, just very old, bad style of management, Samsung might send you to jail. And I don't want that. Make your report sound good. If you do go to jail, Miss Ha, I will come and give you donuts and special foods and stuff. Don't worry. Next, who else wants to comment in class? Hey, Solhan, your turn to pick somebody to talk and present.
Good afternoon. This is the group of Suyan Lee and Min Kim. Our topic of research is understanding intrinsic motivation, how non-financial rewards can apply to Samsung. Since we mentioned the outline of our paper in last presentation, so today we will explain what we have written so far and share the part of our research with the class. This is our table of contents. We will talk about abstract, keywords, introduction, and literature review of our research. The management of reward systems has contributed to employee satisfaction and motivation, allowing an organization to achieve higher performance in its work. Reward systems, moreover, can be a means of maintaining and attracting new talents. By doing literature research, this paper will talk about the importance of finding the right reward system to fully motivate employees. Samsung has developed the company and enhanced its global competitiveness through a system of incentives and compensation for key talents. The research compares the impact of performance-based salary on employees with that of Google and discuss problems that a company will face if it focuses only on pay raises. Financial rewards as well as non-financial rewards are needed to be properly utilized in order to succeed in attracting and retaining talents from around the world. The research identifies reward system of Samsung and the compensation structures which Samsung can benchmark from other successful companies. The keywords of this research are reward system, motivation, employee satisfaction, salary, financial rewards, non-financial rewards, remuneration, pay raise, peer bonus, and benchmarking. The attention of employee remuneration had become significant for high quality of human resource management and work engagement, demonstrating it may lead to high performance of the company. The specialists of human resource management mentioned instrumentality theories such as expectancy theory, reinforcement theory, and view the behaviors and rewards are in the line of sight. The incentive effect indicates the necessity of incentives to produce unintended and desired outcomes. However, many companies pay attention to extrinsic motivations, which are financial rewards. as young generations and employees tend to prefer more of intrinsic motivation and rewards. This is why this paper will talk about the importance about understanding what exactly intrinsic motivation is and how it can be applied to real case, specifically Samsung.
Oh, can you go back to that last sheet? Who is one of my partners in class? Isn't it Miss Han? Are you supposed to be helping get other people to talk? How about Eugene Jung? Can you give any comments on this presentation so far? How can we improve our communications? Hint, hint. How can we look better, look more reliable, and how can we develop more guangxi? How can we develop our network connection to other people, even on this one slide?
I don't know exactly well.
I can't hear you. You need to speak more into your microphone. Okay. Sukrit, would you be able to make a comment? How can we make this slide even better? No? Next. Fanita. Minjae Kim, it's your slide. Do you have some suggestions? What do you think you could do to look more powerful? What do you think you can do to look more reliable? What do you think you can do to get more friends after you have said this?
I think add more in-text citation.
Yes. So by adding more references, that would be good. You have now Vroom and Skinner, but Vroom is the person that invented the expectancy theory, and Skinner is the person that invented the reinforcement theory. But whoever wrote that sentence that you're using, maybe that was written by somebody else. So that's a different reference. And your idea of the incentive effect, who wrote that? The idea of young generations' intrinsic motivations, who wrote that? By referencing somebody else, you look more prepared, better research, more reliable. And every person that you reference, they should be happy. Oh, gee, thanks, you're quoting me. You make me feel so good. They should be happy with you. So keep doing that. What about the idea of, could you use 10 seconds to teach the class one thing? Can you summarize all of your research and teach me something in like 5 or 10 seconds? Ready? Go. You and your partner together at the same time. Speak at the same time. What can you teach the world?
About through our research?
Anything. Yeah, related to your research. You're trying to become a specialist.
Importance of non-financial rewards.
Is what?
Because can I say longer than 10 seconds?
Okay, 2 seconds tops.
Okay.
Don't give me a lot of history. Just teach the world something new.
Okay. Because when we according to the research that we have done, that Samsung has high percentage of the leaving the company, and Samsung is actually have lots of think, and they're really focused on pay raises because they believe lots of intelligence and brains are leaving when they don't have any same level of money compensation or bonuses such as Apple and Google. So they are only concentrating on money, the pay raises, rather than non-financial rewards, because non-financial rewards are mostly related with the recognition and giving the believing the potential of the employees. But Samsung is actually kind of lack of those parts to be part in a line as a real global company such as Google and Apple. So that is the reason why we have conducted our research, and we believe Samsung have to overcome this problem, just only focusing on pay raises and only financial pay. So
awesome.
that's
Everything you said is awesome, but now why? Have you researched your friends? Have you researched your classmates and asked what they want? Have you researched any Samsung employees and asked what they would like?
No, but I saw the article that it says even the executives of Samsung are wondering why they are having more bonuses, because it says that even though the performance is not has not reached the level they have planned, they're still giving the money because they are afraid of the brains or the talents to be leaving. So
okay, so you are teaching one thing. You are teaching that Samsung is paying people with cash because they think that's best, period. Anything else, it's just repeating the same thing. So that's the Samsung view. Now, can you guess or show what is the view of young people? What is the view of staff? That would help your paper a lot.
Okay. So,
clear
now?
It's clear. Good. Sorry for interrupting you, Minja Kim. Please continue. Maybe we can go on to the next slide. And as we continue, please, the rest of the class, Vanita, Sungak Lee, Sung Lee, all of you, please try to give comments. Practice talking about anything. Sitting here quietly in class is not going to help you as much as contributing. Go ahead, Minja Kim.
Okay, this paper has total of 4 paragraphs for literature review, the background literature, and each paragraph has specific focus topic. Starting with our first paragraph, our first paragraph of literature review is about reward systems and their role. The author of the article, Managing Performance Through Reward System, described 3 different roles of reward system, which is motivating, retaining, and attracting employees. So organizations want to retain and hire the best employees to achieve their competitive advantage in a dynamic world. The failure in winning talent would lead to employees turnover, which cost companies time and resources, and may also interrupt the flow of an already productive workforce. According to Craig and Peterson, employees who are recognized for their efforts through reward systems and satisfied with their work are more productive than others. The ability to retain its workers depends on how well employers encourage their employees to stay with the company for longer by supplying them with a satisfactory reward system. And second, a paragraph explains motivation, including Hartberg's theory and Maslow's theory. In the article, the application of Hartberg's 2-factor theory of motivation to job satisfaction in clinical laboratories in many hospitals, job satisfaction is discussed within the context of motivation. So according to Hartberg's theory of motivation, which is applied to the workforce, there are 2 kinds of motivating factors, which are satisfiers, which is motivators, and dissatisfiers. Tabuna mentioned that Maslow's theory can be described as parallel to Hartberg's 2-factor theory, and the intrinsic factors in Maslow's theory are similar to satisfiers or motivators in Hartberg's 2-factor theory. Similarly, the dissatisfiers or hygiene factors resemble the extrinsic factors. By digging through the impact of rewards on employee motivation, it offers information and knowledge to business so that they could develop competitive reward systems. And our third paragraph is focused on comparison of financial reward and non-financial reward. This paragraph starts by arising the question whether reward management is about money. The article Impact of Non-Financial Rewards on Employee Motivation precisely brought up this subject. So reward management is not just about money. The author concedes non-financial rewards also can be a motivator. Extrinsic motivators, which are financial rewards, can have an immediate and powerful effect, but it will not necessarily last long. The intrinsic motivators, which are concerned with the quality of working life, are likely to have a deeper and longer-term effect because they are inherent in individuals and not imposed from outside. We also included the survey conducted by American Express Incentive Services. It showed that 30% of the employees who received bonus stated that the cash incentive did not improve their work performance. At the same time, almost 70% of the employees polled reported that non-monetary incentives provided the best motivation to improve their job performance. But
Okay.
it should not, but
Excuse
it,
me, Professor. Can I get a classmate to analyze how are you communicating right now? You're being an expert, you're referencing something sort of, but Eugene or Eugene Jung, can either of you comment on this slide or what she's talking about now? Any suggestions to improve? I'll give you a little bit of time to think about it. I'm still waiting for a few classmates to comment on the presentation, but I also sent a text message to everybody in the chat. In the chat, we have this video by the that guy, the what's his name? Simon Sinek on the millennial generation, saying that the millennial generation, they want A, B, C. It's very different than the old generation that was very, very different. And so based on that, can you guys identify something that you can include in this slide or what you're saying? American Express, yes, it's reliable. They're usually trying to make money, but reliable. But can you guys comment? Sunjuli or Eugene Jung, any of you? Any comments?
Oh, can I make some questions? Ask some questions about this slide. That I'm just wondering that which institution that American Express Incentive Service, what did they do usually?
Good. Yes. Is this study similar to a company that Samsung is working with? And remember that Samsung makes giant freighter ships, and they make cars, and they make clothes. They make many things. So are all workers the same? Maybe the workers are different depending on which industry. Obviously, high-tech workers think and live kind of differently than miners or traditional giant shipbuilding workers. So your question, what you were just saying, whoever American Express surveyed, are they the same? That's a very good thing to think about. What about, are they the same age? Is that important? Do old people want the same as what young people want? What do you think, Min-jae Kim? Do you want the same as your grandmother?
No, I think it is different depending on the age.
Right. So while you have this research is good, but you should put a reference who made this research. And if you don't see in that research what is the company they checked and what is the age of those workers, then you can put the question next to it so people can't attack you. So you can just put maybe in writing, maybe in green writing, but it depends on the age and depends on the industry. And you can say that the reference, the first study, American Express, they suck because they didn't clarify that. And Samsung would want to know. Makes you look much, much better. Again, no matter what you're doing, that video that I shared with you, the Simon Sinek Millennial Motivators, is very different than the older motivators. So you could talk about that. Please continue your presentation.
okay. But we should not be make sure that motivation is good, and we should not say that extrinsic motivation is bad and the intrinsic motivation is good.
Correct. What you should say is not what is in your mind. You should survey a bunch of people, and whoever you survey, you should say that survey thinks this is good or this is bad. Whatever they say. So it doesn't matter what's in your mind, it matters what the research shows. You've surveyed your friends, and your friends say this. You've surveyed millennial people, and the millennial people say they want this. This is good. Does that make sense? Be as specific as possible. When you're talking with people from an older culture or a different national culture, there's a lot of opportunity for misunderstanding. So the more specific you are, the better.
Okay, shall we continue?
Please.
The last paragraph of our literature review is focused much more on importance of non-financial reward system. From the article, Position of Employee Benefits in Remuneration Structure, the authors pointed out that non-financial rewards can have an even more significant impact on employees' satisfaction and motivation than traditional financial rewards. The main point that is addressed is all of the benefits that can be derived from non-financial reward, which the authors argue is competitive advantage that can be achieved from communicating to employees that their work is valued and promote a positive work-life balance. Research by Newcastle University has found that providing working arrangements that meaningfully improve the work-life balance of employees can give firms a competitive advantage. However, what the author observed is that the value of non-cash rewards tends to be greater than cash rewards, but it also depends on how the employees evaluate the certain reward based on their own expectations. It would be very difficult to know the exact preference of employees regarding non-monetary rewards. So finally, our research paper is going to identify the impact of non-financial rewards on employees' motivation and the various types of non-financial reward that Samsung can apply. And since last week, Professor asked us to show the progress of our research paper, this is our research paper that we have done. So including the references, we have now conducted until the literature review, which is total of 5 pages. And this is our references for today's presentation. So if you have any questions, please ask. Thank you.
Awesome, looks great. I think was it Icharin's paper, she actually wrote Scopus in quotes. That might help, because when you're saying things, most of the world don't know what Scopus is. They don't know what is a good reference or bad reference. So if you could hint to your listener, this is one of the world's most respected papers, that would make you look better. But it's great. And I see that your references are not in alphabetical order. Wow, am I picky, huh? I don't really care about that. But the references in alphabetical order, that's the normal way to do it. But it looks perfect. Great. And you have articles from 2020 and several years ago. Great. You're doing a great job. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor.
Any comments from anybody else in class before we go on to the next topic? Can I get Sukrita or Sungju Lee or Sungak Lee? Can you guys give comments? Pretend that you are a judge, or you are somebody in Samsung and they are giving you this consulting report. What would you tell them? How can you improve the communication?
Could I present about their PowerPoint?
You're already talking, so go ahead. Yes, you don't need to ask. Just jump right in.
I think their PowerPoint is very good because have more detail, and they they have highlight they have to highlight main of their topic, but I think in her slide it have many character or words, so sometimes it make me not interested in their PowerPoint.
Okay. Any other comments? Thank you very much for that. Anything else? Going once, going twice. You should be able to see my screen. So Suyun Lee and Min Jae Kim, I have written down what you have said, and I've also gone in and said that it's good if you check with your friends, check with staff of Samsung, check with staff that are working anywhere, find out what motivates them. You obviously are interested in intrinsic versus extrinsic, so ask people and write down those results. And maybe you can just focus on, even if you only have 5 people you've surveyed, you can say the majority of people, maybe 3, don't say 3 out of 5 because that's too small. But if it is only 3 people you survey, you can say the majority of people prefer intrinsic and the minority prefers something else. The more people you survey, the better. So that's one thing to say. Next, because you guys are millennials, it would be good to focus on what millennials want. The more specific you are, the better. And when you're listing the theories, you have defined many different theories, right? How many theories did you guys just define?
Total of 2 theories.
Okay, just 2 theories. There are many theories. Maybe I can help. Yes.
But there are many other theories related to motivation, but we have not included in the literature review because we're just going to include it in the main context. Okay.
This chart right here, this lists many different theories you could talk about if you want. It should be very easy. Hawthorne study, Maslow's study, Herzberg's theory, McGregor's theory, theory Z, theory, expectancy theory, equity theory, reinforcement theory. There's many. These are just some. This is in our textbook. I can give this to you if you want, but that should help. The next thing was, when you're talking about the theories, as was it Fanita was saying, rather than having a long paragraph saying what it is, it would make you more famous if you put it into a nice chart, just like that chart I just showed you. And then other people can use that chart, especially if you put in those theories and what the millennial people like about it. Do they accept it or do they reject it? If you do that, then it's your whole chart. You can be famous with that. Try to apply the theories to your company, like Samsung. When you're talking to Samsung, try to check with the Samsung employees, what do they think of those theories? And also apply it to not just the millennials, but the different ages. Clarify if the management in Samsung are older people, if they like it, maybe that's good for their older people, but younger people, they might want something different. So if you're specific with the age, that would help you. Clarify who gave the results. Old people, young people, millennials. Were they high-tech staff, banking staff, traditional staff? Be specific and avoid misunderstandings by the listeners of different cultures and different ages.